Well, I think I was involved in the ASEAN back 21 years ago, and basically at the appointment of our Prime Minister to be part of the group of 30 business people, 3 from each country, all right, represented in the council to advise the heads of the ASEAN government on a business issue, right? So I think it's very important for the leaders to be aware of what the businesses are thinking, planning, and what are the do's and don'ts so that we can actually co-create a better environment for businesses to thrive, right? And over the last 21 years, I became very passionate because I get to see, firstly, the potential of ASEAN, and then also you look at the diversity. Each country is developing at different pace, right? So when you have diversity, everybody always asks me, oh, then it's very difficult. It's a big challenge because some are quite well developed, some are very not so well developed, right? But I always told them that this is actually in a way an advantage for ASEAN because we have different levels of economic development, right? And then we can then do a kind of a comparative advantage by leveraging on each other, right? So if you are a country that is more in this resource, and then we are another country that's more in another resource, if we complement and optimize, then we get a better ASEAN solution, right? Rather than operating each on its own. So that was always how I believe it. And that's why I became very passionate in going to many, many countries to see how we can help with the ASEAN economic development, right? So the business I do is logistics and supply chain management. So we run very complex supply chain for many of the world-class companies, not in this region, but also in the whole of Asia Pacific. So, excuse me. So while doing that, I think we have to really look at different kind of a value proposition that we can help our customers to bring in. All right, they are kind of a businesses, whether it's manufacturing or entry into market, right, to help them so that they can actually have a very effective, very low logistics cost, faster time to market. It's all about productivity and efficiency. So that's what we do. Then in the process of doing that, I realized that there are a lot of things that ASEAN can offer, right? But because of the disparity, or rather the diversity, and also the level of inclusivity, there are some countries where the lower level are actually very, very far behind. So how to help that? So I call it inclusive growth, right? How do we create and work on certain things that not just allow companies that we work with, because company has to be profitable, otherwise they cannot continue to invest and grow. But at the same time, how can they, while they are investing, grow in such a way that you bring the lesser fortunate up, right? So you close the gap, right? So that promoting inclusivity. So we are very much a supporter of policies and also solutions that help SMEs, right? So that we level the playing field, everybody can grow together happily. So that's one of the major things that we are doing. And having worked with the ASEAN countries, we develop what we call camaraderie. Camaraderie in the sense that we get to understand each other better. We can become very good friends, like brothers and sisters, you know, ASEAN brothers and sisters. So that friendship and that camaraderie have built trust among all of us. So when we want to do something, it's not just about Laos, it's not just about Indonesia or Thailand or even Singapore, right? It's about how do we do good for all our countries together, right? So that we enjoy a win-win-win on that basis. So these are some kind of things that we have been actually trying to promote and encourage over the last many years. So I get to be very involved, get very passionate and putting a lot of time in this ASEAN Business Advisory Council to help to shape the economic policy to facilitate this. So, but my area of expertise is in supply chain management and logistics. So connectivity is what I'm pushing a lot this last couple of years, right? And connectivity is about how do we connect, how do we build connectivity infrastructure like Superport, our Vietnam Superport, what we call multimodal hub among ASEAN so that we can improve connectivity and then improve intra-ASEAN trade, which is not doing as well as we would like to be. We think that among the ASEAN countries, we should trade much more, right, on that basis. So building this connectivity hub has also two prongs, not just to promote intra-ASEAN trade, but also allow ASEAN to be able to trade with China more efficiently, to trade with India, to trade with the US, to trade with Europe, right, EU, and so on. So these are the kind of a thing that, but this foundation for connectivity hub is not easy. It's very difficult. It calls for a lot of regulatory transformation, right, in thinking, right, rather the traditional way of looking at it. So creating a smart hub or smart connectivity hub, layer many things, not just physical, right? It's also the physical part, it's also the data flow, the information flow, because every good that move in and out, you need a lot of information to be able to move it forward. And at the same time, financial flow, you need money, buy, sell, and that kind of thing. So there's quite a lot of complexity in that. But we as a group, right, being the executive chairman and I've been in the company very long, we are 70 years old as a company. YCH Group is next year our 70th anniversary. And I've also been in Vietnam now for quite a number of years, right, more than 10 over years, supporting many of our multinational companies in the distribution of dairy product, electronic product, and then FMCG and so on. So this project in Vietnam that we call the Vietnam Superport in Vĩnh Phúc, Hanoi, is very crucial, right, to actually realizing what our ambition of connecting ASEAN. Right? So the ASEAN Connectivity Initiative, I think, is one of the key passion that I have to drive, because that's what I know how to do best. And then we are putting a lot of investment. We are bringing in a lot of our technology, right, advanced technology to help to move this forward. And also the skills development, because to do all this, we need to train people. It's not just people. The people has to be trained, has to be skilled to be able to take this to the next level. So this is quite an interesting journey, and we're still moving, right? So we'll start this one in Vietnam, the next one coming out is Cambodia, and so on. So when the ASEAN connectivity hubs are there, it will definitely elevate ASEAN status, especially in the logistics competitiveness index, which is a very important barometer, right, for any FDI. So when people look at wanting to invest in a country, they look at how competitive is your logistics. Yeah, that's how it is. I mentioned earlier on about this connectivity, the importance of having this connectivity in ASEAN. So when we launched this Smart Growth Connect, SGC, right, it was actually meant to actually put in advanced technology, to put in also the multimodal transportation capability, right, in the hub, so that we can connect land, air, sea, and rail. Okay, so this is something that's very crucial, and not many countries, in fact, very few in the world, is able to do that. So doing this will actually put us also in a different level, right, in terms of competitiveness as a region, right. And I see that Vietnam has got a lot of potential, mainly because of the growing tension. In fact, still now, probably even worse now with Trump coming back again, on this China and US tension. And that created the China Plus One. China Plus One has been there for quite a while. Everybody who manufactures in China said, we must create a China Plus One. Cannot just depend on one. But because of this tension, this this political kind of attention, it is actually more urgent, right, for companies to look at it. Otherwise, with the increasing tariff, now they're going to increase tariff for China, maybe up to 60%, right, and which is going to make sure that all the people who want to do business will probably have to shift even faster their whole supply chain. So I think that's where, and that's in the middle of business, we help companies to also do that, right. So we see very important for Vietnam. Vietnam has this opportunity because of its closeness, and it's more ready than many of the other Southeast Asia countries at this moment. So to be able to do that, but there are a lot of bottlenecks. One of the critical bottleneck is your port, seaport, airport, yeah, okay, road connectivity, right, and also the the talent pool that you have to be able to take care of all this, right. Because manufacturing company wants to come in, they need very efficient logistics infrastructure. Right? So if you don't have that, they hesitate. They will come in, but they will not give you the full bank. So and yet your volume is going to grow, and you need to actually do something about it. That's why we create it as a solution to help the country, to help your country, Vietnam, to grow without the growing pain. The idea is to be able to help grow without the growing pain. Right? So that's the idea of putting this infrastructure. Obviously, infrastructure is not easy, right, to put in. Now we are spending a couple of $100 million to invest in the country to build this super infrastructure, right, to give you that competitive edge. So that's why we need the support of the government, which is why I think your previous Prime Minister, PM Nguyen Xuan Phuc, was the one who actually helped us to launch this, together with my Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong. We launched this project, and this project also comes under the umbrella of ASEAN, because it is taken as the ASEAN Smart Growth Connect Legacy Project. At the same time, it is actually the first ASEAN Smart Logistics Network launch, ASLN. Right? So it's got a lot of significance politically, regionally, and something that is good for everybody, including the SMEs that will then also enjoy the hub. Once the hub is fully operational, they can enjoy multimodal hub to move their goods everywhere, all right, at the lowest cost and very fast to market. Superport, is very new. Nobody has done it yet. The selection of Win Phuoc, right, in that location is a very ideal location. It is actually 100 over km away from Haiphong, but near to the airport, near to the city also, Hanoi itself, and not far from the border, right? From the Kunming border, Lào Cai coming in, actually by car about 3 hours, by truck maybe a bit longer. So these are the kind of ideal situation. And Win Phuoc has got 30 over industrial park, still more and more coming up. So the industrial base itself will need a hub like that, so that every product that they're going to produce, the components can fit the manufacturing easily because of the multimodal hub. At the same time, finished product coming out can make use of our offsite air cargo terminal, straight to the air, boom, and it goes out to the destination. All these are efficiency that will help to improve, right, their time to market and their cost to serve. So which is a very important factor for many of these manufacturing companies. So we see this in a very interesting way. And why is it that we are able to think of this, or able even to be able to execute this? Because over the last 70 years, I think that's what we do. We run very complex supply chain for many of the multinationals in supporting what we call manufacturing logistics. So in the manufacturing part, we run a lot of programs like vendor managed inventory program, supplier management program, to fit just a simple multinational customer that actually do manufacturing here. They will have easily 100 to 200 suppliers. So very complex supply chain, right? So some suppliers will relocate together to actually service their principal, or they will fit maybe from other countries, maybe even from Malaysia, from wherever it is, where they'll fit, or China, mostly will be from China, feeding the supply chain in, right, into the manufacturing here. So it's a very complex operation. But because we have been doing this for many years, we have a lot of award-winning solutions that can put this together. So when you talk about multimodal connectivity, any actually port operator, even the dry port operator, can do that to connect, bring it in. But do they have the software, the skill, and the kind of a knowledge, right, to be able to deliver this to fit manufacturing, to be able to do this to help the e-commerce company to bring it straight away, O2O, online, offline, to the marketplace, right? Or are they able then to also deliver the traditional distribution to mom and pop or to the modern trade, right? So how fast can do that? These are actually our skills. So the connectivity as well is not just for the hub to connect, but also to be able to bring the goods who then belong either to manufacturer or to distributors or to e-commerce companies, right? To be able to bring it quickly to the market. This part of the efficiency is our sweet spot. So when we put our expertise here and connect with the multimodal connectivity with the support of your government, who understand the importance of transformation, and also with the support of ASEAN as a as a regional kind of a organization that wanted to do well for the entire ASEAN region. I think this is where we see that the potential for this to take off actually is very, very strong. Obviously, the first is always the most difficult, right? Because you need to showcase it, you need to develop. We have the idea, we have the concept, and we have the capability. But to put it together, we need a combination of firstly your government regulation, right? Just that your land, for example, how do we actually acquire the entire land? How do we actually position it to build smart infrastructure? We have smart warehouses, automated warehouses. We have off-site air cargo terminal. We have also the international dry port, all together, and plus many small little value-adding facility. For example, product can come in, how do they combine before it goes to the market, right? So there's a lot of that. Right? Today, many of the traditional dry ports and all that doesn't have that capability, right? So we have that capability, we can do that. And what about the reverse logistics, after service logistics, maybe parts that come in to fit aftermarket, right? And these are all very complicated kind of a supply chain, complex supply chain that need solutions. So we are configuring that together. So if you ask me, what do I see as the future of moving forward? We think this will be a very strong demonstration piece and very interesting for Vietnam, because Vietnam is actually growing now. Your economic growth trajectory is well. Now with Donald Trump even coming in, I think it could even be better for you on that basis. So how do we then take advantage of this so that you can grow without a growing pain? That means you can scale, you can move and leapfrog into a different level and bring your logistics competitive index up, right, from where it is today. Because today it's not really that good, but then you can move a lot of steps in to make sure that you're a better destination for FDI and move up the competitiveness of Vietnam among the global sites and so on. Actually, it's a lot of hard work. I always tell my people whenever they join the company, or even joining the industry, if you decide to come to the industry, you must have the philosophy or the thinking of 先苦后甜, first bitter, then sweet. So this is very important, right? So ability to absorb, work hard, to learn, so that your capabilities will take you to boundless kind of a limit. So that kind of thing must be there. And it's a very good industry to form character. So I encourage all my young nephew, nieces, son, daughter, everything to come to the industry is because it actually molds your character. 先苦后甜 means that you are prepared to learn, suffer, even in the beginning, for the sake of sweetness later on. Not coming in, where is my sweet, all that kind of thing. So that kind of thinking is very important. Then you build your character, you build a lifelong learning kind of a habit that will take you throughout your whole life, so that you get better in the way that you progress. So I think it's very important. So that is one of the philosophies. So when I started to come in to join, I'm the second generation, right? My father started a lorry transportation. So when we actually converted to cargo, I was the one who transformed it to a cargo transportation and then move up the value chain. So it is not an easy journey, but one of the very critical enabler is our capability in IT. We are a very strong IT powerhouse in the area of what we call supply chain solutions, right? So we have solutions like Intribution, that actually is an award-winning solution that fit manufacturing supply chain into all the manufacturers, right, real time. Right, so we have products of 100 over suppliers. We'll kit, pick, pack, kit into the production line, come out, finish product, and take it to the world. So that's our expertise. That's one part of the solution. We call it many to one, feeding manufacturing. Then we have that distribution solution that now do empower e-commerce company. Omni-channel, when you actually get the order, you plug the order into our system, our Intribution will take over and do the fulfillment all the way to the last mile. And also for the normal mom and pop distribution and the modern trade. But that's our Intribution solution. All award-winning because we serve all the big companies with that kind of a solution. And also the other part of the solution where we talk about reverse logistics, all right? So we call it retro logistics solution. They actually power, basically, for example, one of the big computer companies in the whole of India, the spare parts is managed by us. So when they sell, there are a lot of spare part, warranty, after warranty, that people need to repair their product, go and exchange here and there. We manage the entire part of it with our retro logistics solution. So IT become a very important component, because without a strong IT capability, and by the way, we build all our IT capability, we build the solution, we don't buy from third party. We build ourselves from scratch, all right? And then, and because of that, we are having a very strong foundation, IT, to connect to anybody, anywhere. I think that's the beauty. And IT capability help us to enable, right, all the kinds of things that we're talking about. Without that capability, cannot be done. The superport, for example, I need to have a very strong IT. I'm building a control tower for anything that move in out to the superport and connect to all the other superport, connect to any hub, even throughout the world, right? So my IT infrastructure connectivity, besides the physical, is even more important. And from the IT data infrastructure, we will have to connect to all the buyer, the seller, right? The bank, everybody has to come out with that. So IT become a very strong enabler for this to happen. And luckily, we are very strong in the area. So that helps us. Then the other point is about people, talent, right? I told you earlier on about Scala, our supply chain and logistics academy, which we are very passionate about. We internally have what we call an EduRISE program. RISE, R-I-S-E, is our corporate philosophy. Shen in Chinese, Shen meaning to rise. R for reliability, I for integrity, S for sincerity, and E, very important, is enterprise. So we always want a ever-growing spirit of enterprise in the company. So we don't do things like all the time without any kind of innovation. We do things in looking at better ways of doing it all the time. So the enterprise culture, which actually drives our innovation in the company, actually is embedded in that core value, right? So this is very important for our business. So EduRISE program, we actually train this year about 100, next year we'll start with 150 from all the countries. So you know we operate in 15 countries. All the countries will take a few from each of the country, all right? The best trainees that we have, we bring to Singapore, 9 months we train them. Then after we put them back in the country. So yeah, imagine we are planting all our seeds out. All these are very well trained because we train them in what we call experiential workplace learning in our very advanced supply facility, which is an iconic distribution facility. So they are trained there to run all kinds of world-class operation, real time, with real bullet, not with blank, because they will learn and they will run, they will operate together with our very experienced logistician on the ground. So imagine, so if you are put, let's say, in a training like that, it's crazy because every 1-2 months you move different, you have different mentor, you learn different kinds of world-class logistics and supply chain solution, which you will never get maybe in 5 years or 10 years. You get that kind of training, and that will give you a very strong foundation for you to grow. So we do all that, and we train about 100 this year. Next year we train 150. That's for our own YCH employee. But today we also have an agreement with your Wingfook government. We are training 500 for the Wingfook. That means people from Wingfook, also Vietnam. Actually, it's not just Wingfook, but we actually train it also up. But we are looking at how can we train, because if once with the superport not running, if you don't have this kind of a trained talent, cannot work. Can work, but very painful. Oh, this not right. So we have to train all this to be able to run. They come with advanced systems, advanced smart infrastructure, and they have the right training, boom, they will fly. So this is a very important point, right? So for how we have been actually involved in doing all this, I think it's more my own passion actually, right? And hopefully I like to think of it as a passion of the company, all right? Because we are a logistics company, we want to do good at the same time. So that's why we are very strong in what we call teaching a man to fish. That's how we created Scala. Our training philosophy and all that is because we believe in teaching a man to fish. Rather than give the person a fish, we teach him how to fish. Right? So we're very strong in training on that basis. And that training has ended up to be very important when we expand and then we go to different countries to run. Because without training, we cannot, because all of us cannot be everywhere. So we need to be able to train, especially the local talent, and then bring them into the industry and grow them all the way. We have the first challenge of implementing even IT, because we are a very old company, all right, 70 years old. So we've gone through all kinds, right? Before, there's no technology, no computer, very manual, right? So when we try to implement the computer system, obviously the resistance from the old employee, because they're all afraid of the computer. We don't need it, we have. So you have all that. Then trying to push it through is always a challenge. But I'm very determined. I know that computer is very important. And without the computer, I don't think we can scale. We can scale, but very painful. So we push it through. And luckily for us, we're able to push it through. The whole company accept computerization, and that sets the foundation for us to grow. So it's very critical. So there are a few thresholds that you need to have that. And then the other one is also about warehousing. So when we actually build our warehouse are smart warehouses. It's not like just for warehouse. No, we have very advanced racking system, right? We have material handling equipment. A lot of them are semi-automated. We have drones that fly around to count inventory. So if you visit our SEC, or maybe you've seen our video, you understand what I'm talking about. And all these kind of technology make the warehouses into more than warehouses. It's a very advanced storage and distribution facility. Very busy, like a metropolis. So it's very, very interesting on that basis. And so in the event of doing that with the warehousing, we also run transportation. Now we are going into what we call multimodal hubbing. We only own trucks and all that. We don't own ship, we don't own aeroplane. Okay, we don't own the rail, you see? But we work with all these partners to be able to create the entire ecosystem for multimodal connectivity to happen. Right? So we actually orchestrate it. So we have control tower that we scribe basically the information and optimize the information. Now today we are having a very strong AI team. So artificial intelligence to scribe the data and then look at where the data can be improved. For example, which inventory to put where and whatnot. It's all designed by artificial intelligence. So that's a very interesting part of it, right? So you think that we are just a logistics company, actually no, we are beyond that. So these are all very important things that is necessary to create what I call the growing without growing pain. Without all these capabilities, I think you cannot do it, because the supply chain is just too complex, too complex. Yes, I think as a commitment, I think you know that we are building the Vietnam Superport as a net zero park, which is probably the first of its kind. Definitely in Vietnam and also in many parts of it. By 2040, we'll make it net zero. So we are designing everything built on that kind of a objective, right? So on the area of sustainability, I think it's very important for us. We all want to leave behind a better world for our next generation, So all of us will have next generation goal. We want to make sure that the world is left better for the next generation. So it's a responsibility, right? Not just from a corporate responsibility, even personally, all of us are responsible to make sure that we keep things well for next generation. That's going green, that become very important. So as a company, we endorse that, all right? We are a strong believer. We even have what we call greening the supply chain partnerships with many of big companies like Procter & Gamble, P&G, and all that. We have greening and then we're now extending the partnership with many of the companies like Dell Computers, like Starbucks and so on. The idea of greening the supply chain partnership is looking at the impact of not just of us as one company, but the entire ecosystem. If all of us think green and work together and collaborate on green, the impact to the environment, to climate will be much, much bigger. So that's a kind of objective that we are driving. But we are taking the lead. We're not just sitting down there, we are actually walking the talk. We already implemented the first EV truck, heavy equipment in Singapore. That's by us. All right. We are piloting this year or next year, 2025, what we call AV, autonomous vehicle truck from port to warehouse. So very interesting also. So all these things are what we are doing. And this is all using, and then our warehouse today, all our warehouses are moving, a lot of new warehouses that we build, every one that we build is all renewable energy. A lot of old warehouse, we are putting in renewables on the basis. So these are the kind of initiative that we have. And we are greening all our vehicle. We start with Singapore, it will be expanded to Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. All our truck over the next couple of years will be, new trucks that we buy will be EV, green. So this is the thing. So you asked me about advice to the companies, right? Whether it's Vietnamese company, ASEAN companies and all that. This industry is a very challenging industry. So if you're not prepared to suffer, go to do some other business, right? But you're prepared to suffer, the reward can be very satisfying, right? Not so much on the profit, on the profit, on the money part of it, but also in terms of the feeling that you are actually contributing to society, you are doing good, you are training people so that they can progress well, teaching them to fish and all that. Because it's a very complex work. If you think of everything that happened, manufacturing, e-commerce company, everything, need logistics and supply chain management. So you are actually a very important enabler for good economic systems to flourish sustainably and also inclusively. So it's very important enabler. So logistics and supply chain professionals and company, it's a very heavy responsibility for us to be able to do that. So I always encourage, they must have that. They must have that first bitter then sweet kind of a feeling, so that we are prepared to learn, do well, invest systems so that for the good of the future. And that's all. Prepared to teach a man to fish. Very important, right? And at the same time, also prepared to do things that you can level playing field, so that the not so rich or not so well companies can also be helped up, right? And also when we employ people, we help populations. The lower, not so well, we will bring them. I give a lot of scholarships to train all these people, especially those that are poor. Because one of my beliefs is that when those people who come from poorer families, they have gone through hardship. So when they come into this, it's not that difficult for them to endure, to learn, so that the future becomes better and better. So it doesn't mean that those people come from rich family cannot go in the industry. So it just means that this is easier, right, for that part. So we actually, and also part of our social mission, we want to make sure that we level the playing field, give the poorer people a chance, yeah, allow those small SME companies to come out. We do transport company. We start as a transport company. I can run all my transport company, but you know what I do? I work with all the local transport companies, the SMEs, the small transport companies. Instead of blind truck, employ driver and run everything, I work with them. I teach them to fish. So I will help them to look at how they can manage a fleet better. I give them some IT solution. Some cases, partner, I give financing to help them buy trucks, right? Then we manage the whole thing, right? And allow them to grow together with us, right? So this is a very interesting model that we are doing. The whole idea about this is about being a good company that's also helping the local enterprises, especially the small, medium enterprises, to grow with us. So this is very important. Yeah. This, our anchor investment now is actually the superport. So the superport in Vietnam, in Vĩnh Phúc, will be a major thing. It will take us a couple of years to implement all this, but we hope to develop it into a showcase, not just for Vietnam, not just for ASEAN, but for the world to see, all right? And we are replicating this all throughout all the ASEAN, all right? Kind of a connectivity, because we need to connect. And we build different capabilities in different countries so that we can connect them and then all grow together as a region. So while you compete, you also collaborate, right? So this is the whole concept. And our interest in Vietnam is not just Vietnam, we're actually interested in the whole region. In fact, we're interested in the whole region that we operate. We're now in 15 countries, we'll probably become 16 by another couple of months. So we are growing 16, 17, 18 countries. But our focus now is in Asia Pac. Because we think Asia is a region that we are familiar. Asia is growing, right? Asia has got all the things that I was talking earlier on that needs us to actually use some kind of our good thinking, our perseverance to help to adjust so that we can progress inclusively and sustainably. So we think that Asia is the right place for us to put a lot of effort. We are also quite big in India. So you talk about India, China, ASEAN. These are our major thing. Of course, we are also in Korea, we are also in Taiwan and Japan. Right? So these are the type of market that we are actually focusing to grow. Yeah. So the future for YCH, I think, is great. The only concern is about the continuity, the succession. Now my other son is with me, right? Training very hard. So he runs 4 countries now out of the many countries for me on the business. So he runs. The idea is to learn, then the next succession and all that are coming in to be looking at it. But we treat the family business not just for my family alone. We treat everybody that join YCH. We call them YCHEs. YCHEES. Yeah, YCHEs. So I said for YCHEs, when you are inside, we treat you like a family. We are family enterprise. That means they are part of the family. Whether they are a yap or not a yap, not important. Right? They can be a tio, they can be even your Vietnamese Nguyen something, or you know, Zung or whatever it is. Doesn't matter, it is the YCH family. Like we are putting so much investment to train, like the 100 EduRise program that I'm talking about. And these are on top of many scholarships that we offer for people to be trained in universities, even in overseas universities, so that we take them in, put them into, and then they grow into the management rank. Because we see ourselves very differently 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So if we don't start to train now, where are all our leaders going to come from? Because the organization grow, they must have talent, they must have management. So this must be all planned together at this moment. And we are quite good at that. We are supply chain people. Matching supply, demand, optimization, more inventory here, less inventory here. The entire way of optimizing is our core competency. So we must also be able to plan our, our future in this way.